Live.
We are live.
All right. Facebook, good morning. This is Jim Blythe, and we are here at the Veterans Impact Show. We've got an outstanding show. We're going to be starting right now. Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where we continue the mission of highlighting veterans and service organizations who continue to serve our community and our nation. We're brought to you by Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Don't worry, retire happy. Welcome aboard. Great day. This is Jim Blythe. My partner, Chuck Wright, has to be in Austin, and he's working with the Texas Veterans Commission. He couldn't be here today. My beautiful wife, Diane, is running the Facebook and social media. And Nathaniel, thank you so much for the engineering and the technical expertise that you brought to this program. We've been able to really change this. So if you get a chance, go to DBTV, or if you're in Northern California, the AUN TV network, join us there. You can watch us. You can watch us on YouTube, subscribe, be a part of this. Now, I've got a very special guest and a very special program in two segments today. First of all, I want to introduce you to Colonel Rich Kaniss, a great friend of mine. He is a man who continues the mission. He is absolutely fantastic. He runs the AUSA golf tournament, but most of all, he follows my passion in taking care of young people. Welcome, Richard, and talk to us about Our Community Salutes.
Thank you, Jim. Hey, the Our Community Salute organization is a national organization. It's going on its 14th year. Dr. Ken Hartman had founded this years ago when he was a superintendent of a school district up in New Jersey. And he saw that when the high school graduating seniors were, going through graduation, all the kids that got a scholarship to West Point or then Annapolis or where Air Force, everybody's clapping. But for those that were enlisting, nothing. He thought that's not right. So he started Our Community Salutes, which is a thank you recognition ceremonies for the high school graduating seniors who are enlisting in the armed forces. They've got 40 to 50 chapters nationwide, and they help the recruiting commands in the local area finish the job on average. For a recruiting command, let's say they sign up 100 men and women that are going to go into their service, they'll lose 10 to 15% of them just won't get on the bus, is the phrase we use. They just don't go to basic for just a variety of reasons. They back out of their contract. They're contractually signed up. They're supposed to go in, don't do it. What we have found out through our recognition ceremonies is those who have attended, we see that number drop to less than 1%, because for the first time, probably ever, that young man or woman, finally someone other than their recruiter is telling them, this is actually a good idea to join the military. It's not a choice of last resort, but it's a career choice, a primary choice that you can make that is going to further your life down the road. The vast majority of the enlistees and the Marine Corps poolies only go in for one tour. They get out, they have their GI Bill, they come back, they go to trade school, they go to a college, they do whatever, and they start their lives. And that's the normal cycle for our armed forces. But, they, like I said, coming to our ceremonies, they hear somebody other than their recruiter saying, this is actually a smart idea. Thanks for doing this. Thank the parents for supporting their decisions. And, we've grown our Dallas-Fort Worth chapter. We're fortunately or unfortunately had the 8 recruiting commands: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, Texas Air Guard, and Texas National Guard. That's my 8. All 8 commands locally are the largest in their service in the United States. They recruit more kids here in their area, which stretches from Louisiana to Arkansas, that border, Midland, Odessa, Waco, and up to Oklahoma. That's my area. So we do 2 events each year. We do a Dallas event. We do a Fort Worth event. And they're coming up. Our Dallas event is the 29th of this month, hosted by Parker University in Dallas. That's the at I-35 in Walnut Hill. And then our Fort Worth location is the Stockyard Station, downtown Fort Worth, on the 13th of May. Both are Saturday nights. Both are evening events. Both of them we're going to feed people. So you got to register, and then it's free to attend, and come honor these young men and women who are enlisting in. It's a fabulous night, fun night. So like I said, it's one of the joys of doing this is you see who's stepping up in the world to support our military in the United States.
Rich, you and I have talked many times. You were career military. You were a United States Army colonel, and I was not. I was I was in naval aviation. I was on aircraft carriers during Vietnam, but boot camp and the service changed me for the better. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, and I was flailing around, and then I was in college having a terrible time. I went in the Navy. When I came back, I was a straight A student. When I came back, I knew how to adapt. I knew how to come in and get the job done. It's not necessarily about becoming a career military, and it's also not necessarily about becoming a combat. There are so many technical jobs and support jobs, and these jobs translate into employment in our nation when you come home. It made all the difference in the world for me to be able to go through the University of Texas down in Austin with a VA, with a scholarship, with all that I had. So this is as important to recruiting effort and filling the billets, but it's more important to these young men and women to get a huge start in life, especially now when in our culture, in our country, there is a tremendous number of single parent families that are lacking in leadership. And so I think this is not just about honoring the kids, which it is, but it's about helping all of our community do better, be stronger, and prepare our young men and women to be able to be successful.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, we see a wide expanse of people going in. The nice part of this is you get to see who's coming in. Last year we had several members that were on TV for us. We had a young gentleman that graduating from high school, one of the leaders in his class, all that's family history in the military, had scholarships to colleges. He went in as enlisted. He said, basically, it's my time to serve. I'm going to go do my gig and then come out. I can go to college anytime. And that's what he's done. And he's that perfect example of someone who says, it's my time to step up, and God bless him, and off he, I'm guarantee you he's doing well wherever he's at in the world. So, but
this is so important. Because I experienced it, you experienced it. Almost every veteran that I've ever met said this was the best thing that ever happened to them and changed their life. I want to make another statement. What if you're a parent and you got a high school age young son or daughter, and you're reluctant to talk about the military? You're reluctant to encourage them, or you're reluctant when they come to you and say, gee, I'm thinking about the military. Let me make a suggestion. Come to our Community Salutes program. Come, and I believe you're also going to have it set up to where people could Facebook Live or be able to see it and see the experience and listen to the people and learn, because one of the biggest problems in this nation is misinformation.
Absolutely.
And it's across the board. And I think when you hear some of the people who will speak, when you see some of the people and the success that they've had in life, it totally changes the dynamics of your thinking and make sure you understand here's what's real and here's what's fake information. And I am just so sick and tired of the fake information that's out there that misleads people because somebody else has an agenda, and that agenda is not good for our young men and women. It's not good for our nation.
Well, the perfect example that I always use, when I'm talking to somebody about the service, everybody thinks they're going to go to war. They're going to be throwing hand grenades out of a foxhole. Yes, there are some of those who do that, but the vast majority of there's about 140 separate career paths within the services. You can be a dental technician, you can be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could be a construction worker, you can be an IT person. There's a variety. Yes, there are infantry people and there are artillery people, but narrow volume, the vast majority of them are not doing that. They're supporting the war fighters with other things. Like I said, you're in a small city that needs cooks and plumbers and builders and HR people and just a variety of different positions that someone's got to pay you. Well, you got to have pay specialists. They got all these types of services and expertise transfer directly into the civilian workforce when they get out.
Absolutely.
Once again, you walk out at 4 years and you say, well, what do you do? And I'm a heavy equipment operator. What have you been driving? D8 Caterpillars, cranes, bulldozers, road script. We can hire you right on the spot. Truck drivers,
your military truck driving certificate transfers if
Right.
you do it within 18 months.
Right.
Over to being a CDL in the state of Texas. Now, I don't
That's
know
right.
about other states, but you need to find out. But also the
right.
veterans benefits for education, the other veterans benefits. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't want my son and daughter to get hurt or to get this or to get that. Let me tell you, it's relatively few in comparison. And yet the military and the VA has more systems to help people. If you're a
Right.
civilian and you're in a terrible automobile accident and you've got traumatic brain injury and you got stress, you have
You're on your own.
you're on your own and you have less resources. And in the VA, if something happens to you, you got the VA. Not always perfect. No medical system. Here's another
Right.
thing I want to make a point. When we talk about medical, 70% of all your medical professionals are trained in the VA.
Absolutely.
The other side of that is if you want to be a medical professional, there is no better training in the nation. Down at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio is an incredible, the Army, all of their medics get trained down there. The Navy, medical training, all of this. And in many cases, starting off as a corpsman ends up leading to actually going to med school. I know a number of doctors who actually got their med school paid for by military service.
Yep.
And they came out. The other thing, JAG Corps, how long does it take once you get your bar exam passed before you actually go in the courtroom in the civilian world? It can be years. You know how fast it is if you're in the JAG Corps? The next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's a Go ahead.
All right, we're going to be right back after these words from all of our partners, and we're going to be having another guest join us. But in the meantime, I'm going to put up the website again for Colonel Kaniss and for our community salutes. When we come back, I want to give that out again and have Colonel Kaniss talking about how you can donate, how you can be a part of this, how you can be a sponsor. So this is Jim Blythe with Veterans Impact Show with Colonel Richard Kaniss. He is incredible in what he's doing to continue the mission of service after the military. So we'll be right back after these words. Take a look at Facebook, take a look and share us. Go to YouTube, go to the DBTV network and the AUN network. Look us up. We're there for you. This is a Veterans Impact Show. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Hey, welcome back. I'm Jim Blythe, and we're going to have another great conversation. And guess she's just shown up, and one of my dearest friends. I call her my little sister. Welcome, Ginger.
Thank you so much, Jim, for having me.
Okay, and
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank
Another
you.
day in paradise.
Another day in paradise. All right, real quick, Rich. It's important. How can people donate? Where do they go? They go to.
So go to our website, our OCSDFWTX.org. You know, there's a donate button on there. But if you'd like to attend, attend either of our events, you need to register. Registration's free. We just need to know kind of how many people are coming to each of the events, and then come and see the event. And then if you're part of a corporation that wants to support the military, you come see me after the event, and you know, we'll talk about what you can do for next year's events. But you know, we're trying to grow this to the point where at some point we're going to be in a big hotel, plated dinners, several hundred people. You know, each of these events are going to have about 400 plus family members and about 100 enlistees, Marine Corps poolies at the events. So it's a fun event. Scott Murray's the MC. You know, we got congressmen coming. We've got Medal of Honor recipients speaking. You know, it's just a fun event. So hope everybody can show up.
And if you have a question, you can call me 214-502-4600 or go to our sites on Facebook and YouTube. Contact me and I'll hook you up. And if you're in another city like Lubbock, Waco, Tyler, East Texas, and you want help getting started, I'll connect you with Rich.
Yep.
This is a great thing for our community and for our young people. Now, let's have a little bit of a change of subject, because this is something that I don't know very much about, yet it affects me and it affects everybody in the state of Texas. And even if you're not in the state of Texas, you've got your own state. And quite frankly, we know a lot what's going on in the national legislature. We know what's going on in Washington because everybody and their uncle broadcasts and puts their spin on it. But we really don't know what's going on in our own state, Ginger. And yet you, with the Military Peer Network and all you're doing, has made such huge strides in that. So one of the things I asked Ginger to come in and talk about the Texas legislative effort and some of the things, for instance, that have to do with JROTC, that have to do with portability of licenses. So Ginger, take it away, because man, I'm lost in this one. This is your area.
Well, you know, you mentioned junior ROTC programs, and I think that kind of follows well with Richard's conversation. But basically, there are a couple of bills right now that would address making these types of programs. Actually, in some places, they're called leadership programs, junior leadership programs, or junior ROTC. And it would make them a STEM cell, not a stem cell, like a STEM school. STEM schools get special funding per school district. And if we could get the legislature to pass a bill, then the same thing would go for these types of programs that promote our young people becoming more civically engaged and perhaps even joining the military where they're sorely needed.
Well, and I think this goes with what we were talking about. In going into the military gives you a huge advantage. One of the things, though, that I think is so important in a nation where culturally so many families are single parent, that the STEM, which is the science and mathematics and all of that and engineering is so important because there are so many jobs, so many opportunities. And where do you get your internship? Well, in the military. So in talking about JROTC, which both Rich and I have been very involved with the various JROTC units and naval JROTC units, this is important. So what we want to do and come back and be specific and then give you instructions about how you can contact your local Texas legislature. So this is Jim Blythe. This is a Veterans Impact Show where we continue the mission. It's all about service after the service and what are veterans doing to bring extra added benefits to our community. What are we doing? This is a Veterans Impact Show. And Ginger Simonson, you're a lieutenant colonel, retired U.S. Army. Your credentials in terms of leadership are incredible. Richard Kaniss, you're a retired U.S. Army bird colonel. What you've done in leadership is great. And so I'm so thrilled to have you two guys this morning talking about how we can help our state of Texas, how we can help our kids. This is Veterans Impact. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Well, I want to reintroduce both Richard Kaniss and Ginger Simonson, U.S. Army proud. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Navy. Go Navy. Oh, well. Well, okay. Now, Ginger, we're talking about legislative things. Can you be a little more specific? And also, can you say, where can you go to find out about legislation that impacts you as a veteran or that impacts the community? And how can you find out about it? And then how can you contact your legislator and say, I want you to support this, or I want to give this information? One of the problems in Texas, our legislature only meets every other year.
That's correct.
And it's 6 months long. And these guys are human beings. They do not have the capacity to really understand every piece of legislation that comes forward. So they're dependent on what their constituents say and what lobbyists say. And you're effectively a lobbyist.
I am. I'm not paid. So it's purely volunteer work. I really consider myself an advocate, and I do advocacy work. So I don't think I meet the technical description of a
Okay.
real lobbyist because I'm not paid by anybody. And I support a whole range of programs that relate primarily to service members, veterans, their family members, and survivors. But I also advocate for bills that can help veterans and all those demographics I just mentioned. With things like mental health issues, things like suicide prevention, things like improvements we can do in our specialty treatment court programs, things that we can do to help those trying to get out of jail and back into society as a person who can earn an income and stay out of trouble. So, I'm really an advocate, I guess.
Oh, in a great one. In that, let's talk about one thing specifically. For instance, isn't there a move with some of the district attorneys to either do away with or severely restrict the veterans court?
I would love to speak at that, and we will, but I think maybe we should follow through on the ROTC bill.
Okay.
I wonder if Diane can pull up the website called TLO. So all you got to do is hit www.tlo, and there it is. Okay, now if you go to the middle of the page and see search legislation, if you can color the box that says bill number, okay, and then just type in HB 651 and hit go.
So this is where you find out about bills.
This particular bill, as I said, relates to the inclusion of the Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps and Leadership Officer Training Corps programs as public school career and technology education programs and an indicator of achievement for military readiness under the public school accountability system. So it's a really good bill. I won't spend a lot of time on it, except to say if you wanted to see exactly what's in the bill, in the above the or just below all the headers there, it says history and then text. You can actually find the text there, and you can come back to the other screen.
and you can look at it as a PDF.
You can look at it as a Word, as anything you want. There's 3 different things there. And then if you want to see what's going on with it right now, well, something very important is going on with this. And so it's actually scheduled for a public hearing tomorrow.
Wow.
So if you could do me a favor and scroll down to where it says description, comment, date. Okay. And it shows you there's going to be a public hearing, and we need to go back to the home thing at the top. All right. And we're under Texas House, you can find committees. And I got to get this right to make sure it's the Public Education Committee. Okay. All right. Now go into meetings. And I know this is taking a bit of time. I do this for hundreds of bills, incidentally. All right. And so what you can look at is the hearing notice, and you could open that up. And then you'll see all the bills that will be heard by this committee tomorrow. And if you scroll down and all the way, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, more. Okay. Now, on this part of the announcement, you can find something that says you, as Texas residents, can electronically submit comments that will become part of the public record. So can we take a minute just to look at that? Because I'm going to encourage every one of the folks listening in here to, one, let your friends know about this, because the more public comments we get, the more a legislator knows that we're in support of this bill. And so you do have to provide some information. It is a public record, and you can scroll down a little bit. You can see your name. If you're testifying on behalf of yourself, you can also testify, as I do, on behalf of the Military Officers Association of America, our Texas Council of Chapters. My good friend Mitch Fuller, he lobbies, and he does lobby for the veterans of foreign wars, and he can put that he's representing them. And if every single veteran service organization does this, we can really amplify our voices and our impact. And after all, this is a Veterans Impact show, right?
That's
You bet.
Okay. So,
Now,
yes, sir.
So this is a way that we can actually have an effect, have an impact by going to this. So we've got this website up. We have talked about this and how we've just navigated on one specific bill. How can people get a hold of you if they're going, I need some help. I need a little guidance to get here from there. How can they let's go from the 1,000 foot view to the 10,000 foot view, because they're going to need help maybe getting going and navigating. So how can they reach you?
Well, not just me, but there are a lot of people who do advocacy. So you can, I'd encourage you to send me an email, as well as to text me. Calls may be hard for me to answer, but if you text me, I will get back to you. And my telephone number is 817-683-2870. And my email address is vgws56@gmail.com. Now, things move so quickly in the legislative session, so that's the best thing to do. I want to let you know that other organizations like NAMI, the National Association of Mental Health, or mental something, they advocate. They have action alerts. I put out action alerts. So if you send me your email address, whenever a really important bill comes up that I'm tracking and it's some action is going to take place, I will send you that action alert. I try to keep up, and I will tell you that I'm not doing a great job of it, of keeping all our legislative stuff online. So I have provided a website to Diane if she can pass it over.
Which one?
This is on the Military Officers Association, TCC, and that stands for the Texas Council of Chapters. Okay, that's one of them. That's our local one in the North DFW chapter, and we do have a place under more about legislation. I believe, yeah, legislative updates. Like I said, I'm not doing a great job. There you see, March 22nd is the last time I put that up, but you can find information there, and I promise I'll get the person who runs the website to make it a little bit more up to date. The other MOA website I want to drive you to is to make sure that we can help people in other areas of Texas. And so this will be the Texas Council of Chapters Military Officers Association of America website. And on that, we put a lot of background information to show you how you can be an effective advocate, where you can go. That is my darling husband of 30 plus years. And he agreed to be the president of the Texas Council of Chapters so that I could really do a lot more with state legislative advocacy. So if you go up to the black banner there and hit legislative,
You're going to get all of
you can find things related to the federal and state law.
right,
so we can take that down for.
Let's talk about, because we are a national program. What if I'm in Delaware? What if I'm in Virginia? What if I'm in New Hampshire? Well, there are the MOAA chapters there. There's also VFW, which I'm a member of. There's also the American Legion. Each one of these has a legislative component. Navy League has a legislative component. And so if you want to know more about what's going on in your estate and how this can impact you and how this can impact veterans, and let me tell you something, anything that negatively impacts veterans negatively impacts the whole community. One of the most important things that I think needs to be focused on is mental health. Now, there are bills in here about mental health. Is that, yeah.
There's a lot of money that the legislature is going to spend on mental health. And it will help veterans if passed. I will tell you, there's not a ton of very specific mental health funds that are targeted towards veterans. And I'll tell you, this is my first year as the Legislative League at the state level. So one thing I've really learned is you've got to start super, super early, to get things identified to your state senator and to your state representative. So for instance, as a military veteran peer network peer specialist and a volunteer for that program right now, I know we need to have so many more peer service coordinators and certified trained peer specialists available to the service members, veterans, families, and survivors out there. And yet, in our current bills, both the Senate budget bill and the House budget bill, they're only looking at $3.1 million for the military veteran peer network program. And, it's basically because nobody has pushed to expand that at this time, or at least we haven't touched the right buttons to expand that. But I've asked a senator to see if there's any way we could amend anything in either budget, because right now the House and the Senate will be arm wrestling essentially to make up a $5 billion difference in their budgets. And they're going to also basically try to work out their differences on property taxes and other things.
I think one of the things that's really important, again, I'm going to restate, the Texas Legislature meets every other year for 6 months, and then they may have special sessions. So everything is just intense. Is probably a hand grenade pitching contest between a couple of Marines. One of the things you need to know is how to go. So we've been telling you and showing you how to go find out about legislative things that are going on. In your opinion, is there one bill or one thing that's up? Now, you just mentioned mental health really needs to be boosted. How about something? Is there another bill that is really important that needs to be focused on? Because we don't have much time in this segment that you could point us to.
I can. It's the Veterans Treatment Courts that you alluded to a while ago. And since they were established in 2009, basically every single district attorney can decide to deny entry into a veterans treatment court of any veteran. So even though the original statute was designed to bring as many veterans into the treatment program as possible, and as possible means, they have to apply, they have to be identified, they have to know about the program, but also that they, have a chance to really recover, to really change their ways, to really, really never hit the criminal justice system again. And there has been so much work done over the years on that. We know how to do a criminogenic risk assessment on veterans. We can do all kinds of things. And I guess the music is telling me we're going to have a break that Jim's going to talk about.
All right. We are learning a lot about the legislative process. In your state, go to VFW, go to the American Legion, go to the Military Officers Association, go to AUSA. Rich, you're a president of AUSA here, and there's a legislative component within what you guys do as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So we want you to become informed. An uninformed citizen is a dangerous citizen because a lot of things can get past us or hurt us. I want people to know we are here to support American values and the American dream. This is Veterans Impact. We'll be right back.
Yellow.
Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Hey, this is Jim Blythe, and we're about to bring this program back into the dock. I've had a great day talking to Colonel Richard Kaniss. He is head of our community salute. He also, I want to make a point, is head of the AUSA organization's golf tournament, which he's done for years. And Ginger, you have been a military peer network. You're a retired lieutenant colonel. You've done so much in the mental health and treatment court. All of these things, you have continued the mission without a doubt. And we talked about how do you get a hold of Ginger Simonson. We gave you the email address. Let's give that out again.
VGWS56@gmail.com.
And we also talked about helping young men and women who are going into the military and honoring them with our community salutes. That's our community salutes. And that's a nationwide program in DFW. It's our community salutes DFW, right, Rich?
That's right.
Okay. These are important. And what I want to make a real statement is that get up off your couch. If you're a veteran, get tuned in, get plugged in, get into a veteran service organization. I've mentioned several. Marine Corps League, Navy League, VFW, American Legion, IAVA. It's important to get plugged in. It's important to do things that serve and help our nation. It's important to learn to really help those who are maybe elderly and isolating and need to get out of the house and need to have some mentorship. They need to have a purpose-driven life. And I think that's so important. So I absolutely say, get out, do something, help people, and be an important part of your community. And I have had men and women say to me, well, I'm 78 years old. I'm 76 years old. And my back hurts. My knee hurts. Walk through the pain, get out there and do it. Help somebody else. If nothing else, call them. The VA has a mentorship program that will enable you to plug in and help somebody else. Now, what do I do for a living? Because I'm sitting here touting all this. I'm a certified senior advisor. I help seniors with all kinds of things in terms of end of life planning. I help them get down the road. I help them connect with county service officers, VA accredited reps. I help them connect with foundations that can help them. I also provide reverse mortgage lending services and financial literacy. I am a machine when it comes to finance and helping people use all of their assets, get a better retirement going. That's why we say in our program, we want a better retirement. What we want to do is help people as military. We don't want to sit back and sit on the couch and drink that 32-ounce big gulp and hit another pack of cigarettes. I think it's important to be able to help people. And if you want to get to know me, then you can call me at 214-502-4600. I work for Fairway Independent Mortgage. I'm a licensed mortgage banker. My MLS number is 311-548. My national corporate is 2289. Fairway is one of the largest, if not the largest, non-bank mortgage company in the United States. And my office is at 375 Cedar Sage, number 250 in Garland, 75040. That way I just got all the attorneys off my back. I want you to get plugged in. We just talked about legislation. We just talked about young people in our community salutes. We are also heavily involved with Sea Cadets. There are young Marines. There's Air Force. There's Army ROTC. These programs, if you're an elderly person like me, an old, curmudgeon, go get involved in something that's bigger than you are. Get out and help somebody. And for most of you, you've got major problems financially, call me. So I'm Jim Blythe. I also want to close with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for protecting our active duty military and first responders as they go around the world protecting us. Thank you, God, for all they do. And thank you for our veterans to continue the mission and bring this nation back together. One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. And thank you, God of the universe. This is Jim Blythe, and I've had Ginger and I've had Richard, very dear friends of mine. There are great veterans throughout this country. Tune in, plug in, and join us. Veterans Impact Show, share it. Get out and tell other people. And Joe in Jacksonville, thank you for being a fan and sending me so many great things. So many more people need to Joe. And Joe, you're a great guy. I'm glad to know you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you for being part of Veterans Impact Show. Get a hold of us. We'll help you. Thank you and good day.
Everybody have a safe week.